Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Friday, January 10th. Friendly reminder, the markets are closed on Thursday, January 9th in honor of Jimmy Carter. So just keep that in mind. There is no trading from the stock market perspective on Thursday. With all that being said, this will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. And also, if you trade Bitcoin, I will do a bonus analysis at the end. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one, ticker symbol RGTI. Did this one a few days ago, talked about this rising wedge pattern on how it was bearish and how I expected some, a pullback to occur. Now, did I think it would get that bad? No, I'd be lying if I thought it would get that rough. There was a bit of a pullback yesterday. You can see broke to the bottom part of the pattern. But then today, yeah, brutal move. So yeah, it is what it is at this point. So we'll just start afresh and focus on some of this nearer term level. But moving forward, the key level of support, and nothing fancy behind this logic other than the fact of asking the question, where did the bleeding finally stop today? And you can see several times the price got down there around $9.15. And you can see each and every time it did hold strong. So if the price does roll back over, it becomes a valid question to throw out there. Maybe this could be some sort of double bottom part as you have, bottom number one here. Would this be a bottom number two where you get some sort of bounce? Again, a valid thought, not guaranteed to happen. There are no guarantees, but I can understand your rationale if you were to think like that. But that's why risk management is important. But nonetheless, anyway, look at it. 915, very important, even just from an overall health perspective, because if the price were to go to 915 and break down below there, well, that's even newer lows that have been put in that have not been seen for a very long time. So anyway, I want to look at it. 915, very important level. And then in terms of areas of resistance, really kind of a double whammy. And that is first area right up there at the $13 mark. And then the second whammy coming the fact of not that far above is the pink line there, 200 period moving average. So basically a little bit miniature of a resistance zone right there. So keep an eye on that if the price does try to, make a bigger bounce back to the upside. But yeah, no doubt about it, a rough day. Next one here, CURR, very eventful day on this one, and we have ourselves a good solid pattern here. So let's get this drawn into play. Key part of the pattern, in my opinion, right up there at the $6.50 mark. And if the price were to come up here and get a break through that level, although this level here, contingency being a high volume break. So if the price can come up here, high volume break, then again, no guarantees, but in my opinion at least, I think there's a good chance that the price not only goes up to that high right there, but then potentially pushes up through there. But again, it's got to be not only a break of $6.50, but a high volume break. So you want something with a lot of, power behind it, not something like that where there's barely any volume. You'd want something much higher than that. So as far as areas of support are concerned, interesting level here that is formed now is right, there we go, around this area. So let me change that to green for support. And then to make the pattern easier to see, so we have our area of resistance, we have our area of support, we have the big upwards move right here. If you golfers try to make it a little bit more visual, put the golf hole down here, this would be a bull pennant pattern. So if you like this price range, you like bull pennants, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, SILO, quite the eventful day on this one. So first level I want to get into play is this lower part of the pattern, which I would consider the important part of the trend line. So right there, and it does have a downward slope to it. So you want to be careful with that because, in theory, the price could drift into oblivion and never violate that trend line. I'm not saying that's what's going to occur, but, you just want to always keep that in mind with those trend lines that do have that dynamic to them. And then in terms of areas of resistance, we have that trend line right there. And what we have here, in my opinion, is a bit of a falling wedge pattern, which is actually a bullish pattern. Not just because something's bullish does not mean for sure guaranteed the price is going to explode upwards, but at least makes sense to suggest that, and I don't think it would catch anybody off guard if all of a sudden this price, curled back around and got some movement back to the upside. So, and I would also give the advantage to the bulls because this is all still occurring in a bullish context due to the gap up that occurred this morning. So if you like this price range and you like falling wedges, keep an eye on it. Next one here, FUBO. I think this is now my third day in a row covering this one. And I do want to make a bit of an adjustment now that we have more data. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust this area of support down right here to that level at $4.55. And I do that because you can see here, this was actually a former consolidation area back here. And then you fast forward to this morning, and you can see that was also where it bounced very nicely off of here. So at this point, it's looking like a sideways channel is going to be the easiest way to describe this movement over the past few days, with the top part of the channel resistance being up there, that red line, $6.40. And then as we just talked about, the bottom of the channel, the support area right down there around $4.55, give or take. So really at this point, it just becomes a question of who is ultimately going to win this battle. Do the bulls win with the break to the upside? Do the bears win with a break to the downside? That remains to be seen. I would say you should give the advantage to the bulls. That doesn't guarantee anything, but I'd give the advantage to the bulls because this is a sideways channel that is occurring in an overall uptrend. So like I said, if you're forced to pick a side, I would say you got to give the edge to the bulls. But that, again, doesn't mean it's guaranteed to break to the upside of the channel. But that's really the most straightforward way to gauge this one right now. 30-minute time frame sideways channel pattern. Next one here, ticker symbol SANA, another one of these that started off strong and then did have a bit of a pullback. And these ones are always tricky because it's a matter of perspective. I mean, if you're a day trader, flipper, scalper, or whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within, 32 seconds. And yes, from that angle, the chart's looking very bad for you. But if you do care about the bigger picture point of view, even with the pullback here, the price does still have plenty of opportunity to build a higher base. And from a bigger picture standpoint, that's what it's all about. That's how uptrends are constructed. You just want to see higher lows being put into place. So on that note, I'm still not even going to call this a do or die level, but the preferable level, I mean, hey, Clay, what would make this chart look the strongest moving forward would be if the price could stay above $4.12 there. Because if the price could maintain that, that would imply, so if it came down there and did something like that, that would imply that you'd still have a set of lows right here, previous set down there. And then if you envision these as big or as stair steps from the big picture standpoint, you would still have stair steps very clearly moving in the upwards direction. So that's why, I'd say that would be the ideal level to see hold strong. In terms of areas of resistance, if there is any sort of attempted bounce, right up around here, around $5.60 seems to be a problem point. So late day today does seem we have a bit of a sideways channel that is forming. So same question that I just asked. Main question, do the bulls win? Do the bears win? Grab your popcorn and we'll see how the rest of the week plays out. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering very soon. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use, or if you're watching right at my website, there's an area on the webpage itself that you can use to sign up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free class. Next one here, QBTS. Very, very eventful day on this one. Nasty gap down right there. Then after the gap down, the price continued to bleed. But with that being said, good solid bounce in the upwards direction. And now some key levels have been established. First key level is just simply this area right around here of, let's just call it $6.75. Is clearly the problem point moving forward. That's basically where the highs were after the open this morning. And then after the big bounce, you can see that's right where the price leveled out. And then as I speak right now, price is still heading back downwards. But if there is any sort of attempted curl back upwards, that'll definitely be the main question mark. Will the price have enough strength to push up through 675? And if it can, well, then that would be a good sign that, there's still momentum there and the bulls are still showing signs of life. If the price does come back down, then no need to overcomplicate this. Very, very important mark moving forward is going to be this area down here where the bleeding just finally stopped. So again, going back to that basic logic, where did the bleeding finally stop today? That was at 475. So that'll be a level just from an overall health perspective, but then also from a trade perspective. I would not consider you crazy for saying, okay, there's bottom number one. If the price comes down here, will that be bottom number two where I can get a double bottom and get some sort of bounce to the upside? As I mentioned earlier, not guaranteed to happen, but there is logic behind that thought process, and that makes good solid sense. So overall, though, rough day today, pretty eventful on the bounce. So we'll see if the price can continue to try to turn itself back around on Friday. Next one here, LAES, another rough day, and let's just start off with the main area of resistance. Maybe you've already noticed, but if you have any experience at all or understanding of charts, and I'm sure you've heard of that 200 period moving average, and the price is down below it, it does tend to act as resistance. And that's what we have right here on the chart, that pink line there being the 200 period moving average. So going into Friday, 575 will be that main battleground if this bounce does try to continue on upwards. If the price comes back down, then the ideal level that you'd like to see strong, in other words, what would make the chart now look the strongest, would definitely be if the price can stay up there above $4.20. However, if that level does not quite hold up, not totally the end of the world, because then not that far away you have, we'll call it the stop the bleeding part, and that's where the bleeding stopped today down there at 322. So if the price were to actually break down through there, well then yeah, that would imply that this whole bounce here was totally fake, because if it breaks through there and then comes on there and breaks the new lows, well then, yeah, of course, there's no other conclusion other than this was just simply a dead cat bounce. But another very volatile stock today, so it'll be very curious to see how it plays out on Friday. Next one here, ticker symbol CGBS, and this is fascinating to me because there's, or at least I think, yes, there we go. Very, very, very well-defined resistance level there, and it shouldn't be too shocking because it's just at that big old round number of $1. You can see $1 presented problems right there, presented a problem right there. There was a fake breakout of it right there, and then you can see right there, next 3 candles right in a row went back to acting as resistance. Now, that's not to say that a dollar can't be broken. I'm just saying it makes sense why the price is struggling there. But also moving forward, if it can break, it does have a history of making some pretty big jumps. I mean, check out that jump when a dollar is broke all the way up there. Obviously, that one wasn't as big, but it does show that when a dollar breaks, there is seemingly a surge of momentum that comes in with it. So keep an eye on that from an overall standpoint in terms of resistance. As far as supports are concerned, no need to overcomplicate this. Preferably speaking, you want to see the price stay above that purple line there, the 50-period moving average valued right there. But if that level doesn't quite hold, then I would definitely consider the must-hold level down here, the pink line, that 200-period moving average right now valued right there at about 43 cents. So those would be the couple areas of support. But yes, if this thing can curl back around and get up here and push up through that dollar mark, it definitely creates a very interesting scenario. Next one here, SOUN, and this has just been a pretty slow and steady bleed the past few days. So the level that I want to get in play is one that I think a lot of people have probably put in. So this is not some sort of like great discovery or complicated trend line on my part, but I think a lot of people have drawn a trend line very similar to that. And I make the comment about a lot of people drawing it because when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So no such thing as a guarantee, but is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price were to come up here and push you through that trend line, that break in of itself could create additional buying pressure and upside momentum? Yeah, that it's not a guaranteed scenario, but it is a more than plausible thought. So keep an eye on that from a resistance standpoint. And then in terms of areas of support, once again, no need to overcomplicate it. Just ask the question, where did the bleeding stop today? And it did finally stop and produce a little bit of a bounce right there at $14.50. So keep an eye on that level moving forward. But yes, in my opinion, at least, definitely the most interesting dynamic is all about this resistance trend line right here and seeing whether or not the price can push through it. And if it does that cue a self-fulfilling prophecy where a bunch more breakout players start to pour in? We'll see what happens. Next one, IONQ, and another one of these that got beat down, but also has given us a couple of very well-defined levels, technically speaking, headed into Friday. So once again, as I just talked about, as I draw these lines, I'm not trying to imply this is a great skill, great discovery. The opposite, a lot of people, I'm sure, have drawn in that little trend line right there. So as I just talked about, guaranteed, no, plausible though to think that if the price were to come up to that area and create maybe even just a self-fulfilling prophecy and create more momentum, that is certainly a rational thought to have. So keep an eye on that in terms of the near-term area of resistance. And then as far as supports, yeah, you guessed it, we're going to use the whole bleeding test. Where did this thing stop bleeding today? And that was several times actually down there, right around the $26 mark. In fact, I'm kind of curious. So what was it? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. So basically 3 times with a few other times, both there, and there. Very close to that general area. So yeah, $26 is going to be that key level where you could get a bounce from it, but also that's why risk management matters because there's no guarantees. And if the price were to break, that could create, another, surge of momentum to the downside. But all in all, some very well-defined levels. And in my opinion, that's what it's all about as traders. Find those well-defined levels and then build trade plans based on those. I'll get to Bitcoin here in just a moment, but again, for you stock traders out there, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool and how it should and can be used, then definitely get signed up for the free class. It'll be very soon, Thursday, January 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you there. And also, if you appreciate these top 10 videos and you want to support the channel in a very easy and free way, please hit that subscribe button. It really does help out. All right, now let's talk some Bitcoin. First off, a couple of quick clarifications. We are now on the 4-hour time frame instead of the 30-minute time frame. So each one of these candlesticks here represents 4 hours. And that's because Bitcoin is open 24/7, and I want this analysis to remain relevant for as long as possible. So by looking at some longer time frames and then walking you through some questions, we can make this relevant for as long as possible. But yes, Bitcoin and the bleeding continues. So question number one, in fact, let me zoom this out so you can see the significance of this area. There we go. But question number one that you need to ask yourself. So let's just say you're watching this video 20 hours after I upload it. Where is the price at relative to 92,000? If you are in any way, shape, or form saying, well, actually, Clay, the price is down below there, that is not good. Now that becomes, okay, well, how not good is it? This is where common sense will step in. Well, how far down below 92,000 is it? The further down below 92,000, the more not good the situation has become. So as of right now, don't get me wrong, it's not great, but also to be fair to the chart, it hasn't violated this key level, which you saw here, has bounced off of it many, many times before. So you can't sit here and say it's totally the end of the world because no, the price is still above 92,000. So on that note, maybe you're saying, well, Clay, actually the price is still above 92,000. All right, that is good. Now, some situations are going to be better than other. What do I mean? Well, once again, common sense. If you're saying, well, Clay, the price is right there. Again, that's good in the sense of at least it's staying above 92,000. But if you're saying, well, actually, Clay, the price is all the way back up here. Well, that's even better because that's showing you that this bounce that's underway right now has built that much more upside pressure, and that would be an even better situation. But the fact of the matter is, at this moment in time, everything is revolving around that $92,000 level. And will the price be able to stay above it? So I'm jealous of those of you that are going to be watching this 15, 20 hours from now because you're going to have a much better idea. But as of right now, it's all about 92,000. And as I invited the stock traders, I'm inviting you as a Bitcoin and crypto trader to definitely get signed up for this free live class because what you'll learn about can and certainly should be used within the world of crypto and Bitcoin. So again, it'll be very soon, Thursday, January 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Get signed up, and I hope to see you there. And as I already mentioned, if you enjoy these top 10 videos, if you appreciate me doing Bitcoin, and you're looking for an easy way, a free way to support the channel, please just hit that subscribe button. It really does help out. So thanks for watching. Remember, the markets are closed on Thursday. I suppose that doesn't really matter for those of you that are in Bitcoin, but nonetheless, just in case, as a reminder, and make sure you go get signed up for that class.